These are my favorite 5 suburbs of all of Metro Atlanta. So sometimes people ask me about what my favorite suburbs are. We've got videos about the best suburbs for families and the best suburbs for young professionals. And sometimes it's kind of hard to decipher, like, let's just get rid of all of the extra stuff and figure out which ones are the ones that I think are the best for me and my family. Now, of course, this is going to depend on a lot of different things like your living situation. So for me, I've got a family of 4, my wife and 2 kids, and my 2 kids are school age. And so the quality of the schools is going to be something that's very important. Also, my kids are into a lot of extracurricular activities like the gymnastics thing and baseball, and all of these things are super important to my family and I. Community is a big one. We have lots of friends and family in the area. And so being in a suburb that has the ability to build community is also something that's super important to us. Racial diversity, another big one for us. And so these suburbs all kind of embody all of these things that are important to me and my family. And so these are the 5 suburbs that are my favorite in Metro Atlanta. The first one is going to be the city that I currently live in, which is Marietta. So when you talk about having all of these things, the excellent schools and the diversity and the ability to build community, Marietta is great for that. Marietta is in the northwest part of Metro Atlanta. So north of Atlanta, which is where most of these suburbs are. It's in Cobb County, and Cobb County also has cities like Kennesaw and Ackworth, and a bit of Powder Springs is there as well. But Marietta is one of the largest cities in all of Metro Atlanta, and so they've got lots of different options for home styles and employers and things to do in the downtown area. You can find all of these things are very good in the city of Marietta, and this is one of the things that attracts me and my family, and one of the reasons why I think it's such a great city. Plenty of extracurricular activities for the kids to do, plenty of things for the kids to do when they're not in school. In general, they've got a lot going on in Marietta that work for me and my family, and so this is why it's one of my favorites. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living, and we put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Atlanta and the surrounding suburbs. If you're thinking about moving here, or you just have a question about what it's like to live in Atlanta, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. I'm a local real estate agent here in the Atlanta area, and I'd be happy to help with your moving needs or even just answering any questions. Thank you so much to everybody who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. But the second city on the list of my favorites is Peachtree City, and Peachtree City is actually on the south side. We don't really talk a whole lot about the cities on the south side. In my opinion, they're not quite as good, but Peachtree City is the exception to the rule. It's in Fayette County, and in general, Fayette County is known for having some of the best public schools in the state. One of the reasons why this is one of my favorites is the community that you find in Peachtree City is maybe one of the best in the entire state of Georgia. People are very neighborly, very friendly. You certainly still have that like southern culture, that southern hospitality, very much so in Peachtree City. It's super common for people to say yes sir and yes ma'am, to hold the door for you when you're walking into like a public place. And so all of these things are very common in Peachtree City. I actually used to live in Peachtree City. It was one of my favorite places to live, and that kind of neighborly community is something that you don't find in other parts of Metro Atlanta, especially like the middle of the city of Atlanta. The city of Atlanta is a very fast-paced, very busy kind of lifestyle, so naturally you're not going to find that there. But in Peachtree City, people are very friendly. In addition to that, the public schools there are great. The shopping and the restaurants are also very good in Peachtree City, and all of these things combine to make it one of my favorites. Of course, we can't forget to talk about the golf cart paths that they have there. This is something that Peachtree City is very well known for. There are these golf cart paths that go all throughout the city to the restaurants and to the grocery store and to the neighborhoods, and so it's common to see kids, teenagers sometimes, and adults as well, driving around in the golf cart paths using a golf cart to get to all of these different places. So like if the kids want to get to their friend's house, or if the kids make a quick run to the grocery store, they can do this on the golf cart. Man, I wish I could send my kids to get groceries for me. That would be amazing. And so this is something that kind of adds to that community feel in Peachtree City. Also, Peachtree City is close to the airport. And so this is a big one for many people. If they need to be close to the airport, Peachtree City is one of the best suburbs for this because the airport is on the south side of Metro Atlanta. So cities like Alpharetta or Marietta, which are on the north side, are much farther to the airport than Peachtree City. The third neighborhood on the list of my favorites is Canton. This is where I would totally move to when me and my family move. I totally want to move to Canton, Georgia. This is in Cherokee County, super far north of Metro Atlanta. It's definitely a suburban area. Some parts of Canton are even kind of rural, super quiet, small town feel, but they've got a great downtown area in Canton. Also, they have the mill on Etowah, which is kind of one of these mixed use facilities. They've got like all of the shopping and the restaurants, and you can find everything. Also a great place to build community. And so all of these things combined is one of the reasons why Canton is one of my favorites. The cost of the homes in Canton are increasing very quickly. It's becoming a very popular place to move to, but the other things associated with cost of living are kind of still on the low side because it's farther from the big city of Atlanta. Property taxes, things like that. Gas, I believe, gas for the car is also kind of not very expensive compared to other suburbs. And so that cost of living is also a big part of moving to Canton. And then while they do have a lot of new construction in Canton, it's being developed more and more. As more people are moving there, they're starting to put up a lot of new construction homes there. There are also a lot of older homes, like homes from the 70s and 80s in Canton. And those remodeled 70s and 80s homes are some of my favorites. They still have a lot of that character, a lot of that charm, but when they've been remodeled, they still have that modern feel. And so this is a big highlight for living in Canton and one of the reasons why it's one of my favorites. Number 4 on the list of my favorite 5 suburbs of Metro Atlanta is Buckhead. And Buckhead is not actually a suburb of Atlanta. It's more like a district or a neighborhood of Atlanta. It's right there in the middle of the busyness of Atlanta. And so while this may be a shock for my wife and kids if we move to that area, I still think it would be awesome. It would be so much fun to live right there within the city limits and be able to easily walk to all of the different parts of the city, walk to the grocery store, walk to the school, walk to the entertainment and the restaurants. And so all of this would be very different kind of lifestyle than the suburban lifestyle, but it would be absolutely, I think, super unique. But living in Buckhead would be awesome. And so certainly would be one of my favorites. Every time I visit Buckhead, I'm like, man, this would be a great place to live. It's super clean, super friendly. There's not a whole lot of crime in Buckhead compared to other parts of Atlanta. Now, of course, if you read anything in the news about Atlanta, you're going to hear about some of the crime in Atlanta. But it's a big city. It's a major U.S. city. And so naturally, there's going to be some crime in the city of Atlanta. But compared to all of the different districts or neighborhoods of Atlanta, the crime rate is lower in Buckhead than some of the other parts of Atlanta. Now, the homes in Buckhead are a bit different. You're going to have a lot more condo options, townhome options in Buckhead. And so this is kind of part of the city living. You're going to potentially not have a yard, which would be awesome, actually, if I didn't have to take care of a yard or cut the grass. And so that kind of condo living would be something that you'd find in Buckhead. There are some homes and some neighborhoods in Buckhead that are like single family residences, like not condos, but it's not as common as in the suburbs. The majority of the homes in Buckhead are going to be condos or townhomes. And then the last suburb on the list of my favorite suburbs of Metro Atlanta is everybody's favorite, which is Alpharetta. This is definitely one of the best ones in the entire state of Georgia. Alpharetta just has everything going for it. It's super clean, super modern. In a state like Georgia where many of the suburbs are still kind of behind the times a bit, Alpharetta stands out and is very modern. And so you've got a lot of The newer homes and the newer commercial areas, the downtown Alpharetta area is a very popular place for people to go and visit in evenings and weekends. They've got the farmers market there. Also, the Avalon, which is on Old Milton Parkway. The Avalon is like a big shopping, outdoor kind of shopping area. It's kind of like a mall, but not indoor, like where you walk outdoor to all of the different shops and all of the different restaurants. They've also got a movie theater there in the Avalon. And so all of these things add to the community feel. The home prices in Alpharetta are a bit higher than some of the other suburbs of Metro Atlanta, but the reason is because it's such a popular place to live. So many people want to live in Alpharetta, and I totally agree it's one of the best suburbs in the entire state. For many people, whether or not you move to Metro Atlanta really depends on the cost of living and how it compares in Georgia and in Metro Atlanta to the area where you're coming from. So, of course, if you're coming from somewhere like California, you're going to see that the cost of living in Georgia is a lot less. But if you're coming from an area like in the Midwest somewhere or small town, you might see that the cost of living in Metro Atlanta is higher. And so what these monthly expenses look like in Metro Atlanta is certainly a big factor for whether or not you move here. So I've made an entire video where we break down and outline the monthly expenses of living in Atlanta. You can check out that video right here. I'll see you in the next one.